Hi guys, so let's make pineapple and kojic bar soap, shall we? So first off, I got my pineapple and I sliced them into small pieces. You can buy already peeled pineapple from the market, or you get a whole pineapple and cut out the one you need for this production. So anyhow you want it is fine. So you peel and pour into um blender. Then I added a little water to help the blender run through. I blended and poured into my sieve to sieve out the juice needed for this production. So you take your time to do this, just like I'm doing it. Okay, you need to get all that juice out from that chaff, and you need everything to be smooth, just the way I am doing it. So after sieving out my juice, I measured out the quantity needed for this production. I used my beaker to measure out in mils. Okay, then I'll use my scale to measure out those needed in grams. So this is it. Then I pour it into a rubber cup and put it in the freezer to freeze this. I need a frozen pineapple juice for this production. So after putting it into my freezer, the next thing I did was to measure out my lye solution. Sorry, my lye for this production. So you need to be suited up for this production. You need to wear your hand glove, your nose mask, your safety goggle, because this thing is corrosive in nature. So you don't need to be choked up. You don't need this to choke you. And make sure you are outside your house in a well ventilated area. So after measuring out my lye, I brought out my frozen pineapple juice and then poured my lye into my frozen pineapple juice. And you can see what the magic happening already. Immediately, the frozen pineapple juice melted instantly. Once the lye comes in contact with water, it melts instantly. And this is kind of hot. So you set it aside to cool down a little bit before you proceed. So I measure out my shea butter. I love using shea butter to make bar soups. It's just the best for me. It makes the soup not to dry the skin. So after measuring my shea butter, I measure out my palm kernel oil and I melted them. Yeah, I use a double boiling method to melt this, to make you warm it up a little and melt the shea butter too. So I weighed out my kojic acid using my scale. So after that, I brought out my oil and then poured in the kojic acid into it to dissolve. So I stirred completely, and at some point I used a stick blender to stick blend it so everything will dissolve. And before I now proceed to pouring in my lye solution. Now this is where the soup making begins. So I poured in my lye solution and stir. It's already started to trace. So at this point, I decided to add my mica color. I use the yellow mica color because this is a pineapple soup. So you need to get that yellowish color, to make it look like pineapple soup. So I took my time to stir. I didn't use stick blender for this because this is already tracing. So I used my spatula to do this stirring. Like I stirred the hell out of this. So while stirring, I at some point I added my fragrance. So fragrance is optional. It's not a must. You must use fragrance, but I want this to smell good. Okay. And this soap is very good for face and body. So you use on your face and on your body. So this is the leftover. Let me say, the other soap I made, I trimmed out the edges. So instead of I trimmed out the edges. So instead of throwing it away, I decided to pour it into another soap batch. No wastage here, I beg. So I added that trimmed out excess soup into this soup batch. That's what you saw me added, and I stirred properly and then poured into my mold. Take your time to pour this and adjust into your mold. Let it sit properly into your mold. So when you unmold it, everything will just, will look nice, will not look tattered, will not look scattered. Mhm. So take your time to do that and clean up your mold. So in fact, doing this, your whole workplace is going to look messy. It's going to look messy. Just take your time as you work, you clean up as you work, especially if you're filming, just like I'm filming. So, but if you're not filming, after everything, you can clean them up. So the next thing I did was to design the top of my soap. This is also optional. Okay, it's optional. Some people prefer not to design, but I just want, why not? Why not give it a little design to make it look extra nice when it is hardened? So you can do this, you can do a lot of design. There are a lot of design on YouTube. So this one is the only one I know how to do. So look at how this soap turns. Like from the look of this soap, you would see the little tiny particles of the trimmed out edges of the previous soap I added into this one. You can see the edges, see the color, the pink greenish color and all that. So allow this soap sit for 24 hours before unmolding it. You can see how sweet and fine this, how smooth this soap is. It is giving. I love it. In fact, it came out really nice. So I decided to, it's time to cut my soap. You can use a single soap cutter for this, but I already have this because I sell this soap. So I decided to get a bigger one to help this cut easily. So this is how the soap, you can see that tiny particle. This, you see the tiny pinkish soap. This is looking so nice and so beautiful. Ah, this really came out nice. And the color too. It's giving pineapple vibes, giving pineapple vibes. Yeah. So this is it. Ah, you can see. So you too can do this. So it's just very easy to do. So I sell this. I made this video like a month ago. It was more than a month now. So this soap is almost sold out, Seth. So next thing I did was to trim out the edges of the soap. No, see, I'm still admiring the soap. Oh, yeah. Oh God, beg, I don't tire to admire. So I'm still admiring the beauty of this soap. So now let's jump into trimming out the excess of the sorry, the edges of the soap to make it look extremely nice and neat and also presentable. You can see what I'm doing. But this is also optional. You mustn't do this, but if you just want that professional finished touch, you can give it, you can trim the edges. So this soap is still available. I still have orders I made that are still available. So in case you want to try out our soap, please, you can patronize me. You can check me out on Instagram at Glow by Harmony and patronize us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a like.